Hey guys, what's up? It's Lizzy Jane. We are back with another episode this week. I am so happy and excited that I finally got to sit down with Nicole. Her project is Zen Selekta. She is absolutely amazing. We've actually known each other for quite some time. She was in Atlanta, I was in Orlando, Florida. We both had tons of mutually beneficial friends, like played bass night in Orlando, if you know what that is, shout out. And this was like 2018, 2017 maybe. And it was really cool because she was one of the first females that I had ever really seen DJ in a capacity where I kind of looked inward and was like, you could do this. She is still riding strong in the experimental wavelength. At that time, it was definitely such an underground sound. And now, as we talk about in the podcast, it's become a bit more well known and quote unquote mainstream, if you will. And we talk about the development of that, crowds and fans growing with the sound. A lot of that is a testament to Closey and Wakan and Grizz and Subcarbon and everyone in between. But yeah, let's just hop in. She had a killer headline at Cervantes Ballroom in Denver. We spoke briefly after. And next time she comes back, we're going to sit down, have some drinks, and go on forever because there's so much more we could have talked about. But if you have not checked out Zen Selekta, please check out her music. She is on tour everywhere right now. She has some really big shows coming up with Grizz, Pretty Lights, and Closey, which are all huge inspirations of hers. So it's so exciting to see things coming full circle. Without further ado, this is Lizzy Jane, and you're tuning into my podcast with Zen Selekta. Hey guys, so lately I've seen a ton of larger shows I've been playing at that a lot of these festivals and venues are no longer allowing bags that are not clear. Well, guess what? Lunchbox Packs is coming in clutch again. They have just stepped up their anti-theft bags by releasing a fully clear hydration pack and snack pack. This is an absolute game changer for your summer festivals and events. Each bag is made out of TPU material that is incredibly durable, flexible, and made to not alter under extreme sun exposure over time. You also have the option to bring a skin in your bag on the way in, and once you're through that security line, you can zip on your skin for privacy of your belongings and to add some extra personalized fun flair. These hydration packs meet the majority of all festival regulations and guidelines. As always, these packs have all of the awesome anti-theft features as the original hydration and snack packs. Make sure you use code LizzyJane for $10 off any hydration pack and code LizzyJ for $5 off any snack pack. I will see you at the rave. The show today was brought to you by Vitapleur E-Boost Gum. With no pill to take or powders to mix, Vitapleur E-Boost Gum is a first-of-its-kind energy rave supplement that provides magnesium, electrolytes, and antioxidants while you chew. Vitapleur is the perfect complement to my active lifestyle, whether it's at the festival, on the road touring, or hitting the gym. Chew Vitapleur and dance with confidence. Use code LizzyJane for 10% off any order.
Let's hop into it.
Let's do it. Are we live?
We're live.
I love it.
We're live.
I'm
Nicole?
so happy to be here with you.
Oh, yes. I'm so happy we got to do this.
Oh, yeah. Do I need to be talking into the mic?
No,
or?
I got everything covered.
Sweet,
this is
sweet.
just like atmospherical. Eventually, one day, I want like the conversation we were just having with the sponsor. I want to like be able to go in, put the headphones on. It'd be like legit as fuck.
Oh,
but
yeah.
right now, we have the Ice Toe products.
You're
we have
so
everything,
legit.
And we're
You're
getting
so
there.
official. All you need is a whistle.
I love it. You just had a headline show in Denver,
I
which
did.
you come to quite often for being an East Coast artist.
Yeah.
They love you.
It might be like my 6th or 7th time. I'm super grateful, yeah.
I just feel like the music you make and the music you spin is very Denver-esque.
Totally. It resonates with the Denver crowd really well.
Absolutely.
And I resonate with the Denver crowd because they just get it. Like, oh gosh, it was so great playing for them. You know, I just feel like everyone's so open. I would say most crowds are, but like maybe Denver just a little more. Yeah.
Denver's always been ahead of the curve. When
sure.
I moved out here, not only was I like very taken back by the music scene in general, just because it's so large. Like I was aware we had, you know, Red Rocks and Mission and stuff like that.
For sure.
But all of these small, not even clubs, I would say, like music venues that these kids love. And Cervantes is very much so, like I talked with Maddie O'Neill and she had been playing there like since they did like the 30 seconds or 60 seconds of fame and you would go up and spin for like 15 minutes.
I didn't even know about that.
It's wild. When like early days, early days. And
so they've been around forever. It's just like
forever.
It's like the homie venue.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. That's what everyone says. Cervantes is the family homie venue that
every city needs one.
Every city needs one. Yeah. Every city doesn't have one necessarily.
That's so true.
And people who know Denver music know of Cervantes.
Absolutely. And it was an honor. Yeah. Like, I guess the last time I played there, I opened for Kill Smith. And like, I remember they mentioned, they're like, oh yeah, you're next to headline. I was like, no way. I was like, yeah, right. Like maybe in like 5 years. And then it just kind of like, it came up so quick. Like,
isn't that crazy?
It is crazy. I was actually just telling one of the openers, I was like, you know, you want to become successful, like obviously, but then it's like here and you're like, oh wow, like I'm headlining my own show. And it's like all this pressure and you're like, whoa.
It's this whole nother realm of, it's so, everybody's journey is so different.
For sure.
And I think there's definitely acts where, you know, they play support on these massive, massive, massive shows. And that in its right is super fucking dope.
Oh, absolutely.
But the second you have a little bit of excess pressure on your shoulders that it's your show, it's your creative vision, you get to choose how much you want to invest in regards of production or pyro or CO2.
That was my first time actually ever dealing with that side of it, like investing in production. I curated the whole lineup, which was like incredible.
Isn't that cool?
It's
like you're a talent buyer. You're your own talent buyer.
Right? And that's actually like, you know, I want to do that. Like obviously all these artists that I look up to, that's what they're doing, you know, all these curated events, like that's, I want to get there. And I finally got like my first taste of that. And I was like, this rocks.
Yes.
You know,
because it's so, and especially in your subgenre of electronic music, it's so important. I feel like setting the tone and like the dynamic energy of the whole night.
For sure.
Especially somewhere like Denver where I would say fans and attendees are more educated than most.
Totally.
Having a proper lineup is like essential for like a successful night. And what you said on like artist curated events, we see those more than we've ever seen them before.
Yeah.
And you know, it kind of goes to, okay, are they kind of, you know, still going to do their festival headline slots and then they do this on their own, but it's exactly what you just said. It's that power to curate like a whole experience.
Right. And like put on people that might be underground, but they're your friends and you know that they deserve the opportunity. Yep. Like I was so happy, like one of the artists, it was their first time in Denver and I was able to like facilitate that. It was so wholesome, you know? So I just could not be happier with like the turnout and everything.
And now the goal is to like come back and do it in a bigger room or come back and do it with bigger production.
I can't even imagine a bigger room
or
right
take
now,
it elsewhere,
but like,
you know,
totally,
somewhere like
absolutely.
Atlanta doing the same thing.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Like actually that is something I've been talking about with my agent. So Atlanta has like a lot of homie venues. I would say the primary homie venue though is called Aisle 5.
Okay.
Which is where I played. It's kind of like where I had like my first shot. Like I got to know a promoter. They gave me my first opportunity there. It's like kind of where I came up. So to be talking with my agent about like coming back to do a headline there is like so full circle.
It's always very special. Like that one place that you were kind of considered like a local DJ.
And that was like the Ritz for you, right?
Yep. And it was the Ritz for me. And it's like having those moments, you're just like, oh, wow. And it's things that you didn't think were necessarily obtainable until you reached that moment. Right. And then it's so easy to get lost in always moving forward. Okay, we did that. Let's cross it off. Well, now I'm thinking about this. Well, now I'm thinking about this. Instead of, oh my God, when I was DJing with 40 Ounce Cold or if I was DJing in Aisle 5 and doing these like literally homie shows. I mean, we're in an art gallery. Remember when it was Haneo? I think it was
Oh
Haneo?
My God, yes.
The Contemporary
I thought it was like
Center.
Haneo, but whatever.
Yeah, like the
I
Contemporary
remember
Center
I played a show there.
in Orlando.
Right.
And it's like literally just homies, you know, people who love the music, but it's really for the culture. And you think about doing these things and being on these lineups and having these opportunities and you're like, maybe someday. And then it comes with like work ethic and diligence and a vision and all of that stuff that has to fall into place.
Right.
It's like if you don't quit and you have the right team and the right people on your side, which definitely takes a while to figure out, you have to be so patient. It took me a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. And then it happens.
I know. And it's really almost hard to believe for me. Like
you've had so many different like parts of your journey. Yeah. And like I know I was like super tapped into you when I was in Florida. And then like I feel like experimental like 140 is like what got me into EDM, like period. And I don't know if it was because of like living in Orlando, and Orlando had such like a deep, like before it was even, it's hard to say it's mainstream now, but it's just such a bigger crowd for it. For like, sure. Whether it's like the con guys or the truth guys or like all of these like labels pushing that sound, some UK guys coming over to the States. Yes. You know, it's wild to see this subgenre that people used to consider like heady and wookie and not really mainstream. God, I remember the first time that like Yeti got booked at Ritz, and I was like, is the like simulation glitching? Like what's going on?
It makes me so happy. Like for example, an artist like Hamdi, maybe like because I have thought about it to myself. Like there were some years ago where I was like, man, like, you know, I really want to make a difference with music, but I know like my music's pretty underground and niche, like, but I want to travel the world. And I'm like, is this like a possibility for me in my niche? And then like, I've seen it blow up. Artists like Hamdi doing world tours. And I'm like, okay, like this is possible.
Fucking crazy shit.
Right. Yeah. I know, right? So I'm like, okay, this is possible. Like another one of my biggest inspirations, Sicaria, like also just went back to back with Skrillex. I'm like, okay, like
it's happening.
It's
It's very much so happening. And there's something about sitting in 140 where like you bring so much energy to your sets. And I know especially still now, even with more people like making that kind of music and making the experimental underground shit, like you still have to crate dig. Like you're still like going in the dark hole, in the black hole, in the SoundCloud, like depths of dungeons.
Such a digger.
Yeah. Like go through like your process with me. Like when you kind of, I guess, start to like formulate your sets.
For
like
sure.
DJing's always been like very much so like your thing. Like curating.
It is. I am a DJ first, producer second, although, you know, I'm very much working on like honing in all my production skills. And I do want it to be an equal thing. Mm-hmm. Like, but like, I am a DJ
I
first.
Think everyone has one or the other.
For
like,
sure.
Hey, we're here,
like they lean a certain
and then
way.
They both come up. Yep.
No doubt. But yeah, I guess I just kind of like think about, all right, where am I going to play? Right. And like what kind of vibe I want to present. But I just start the dig like, and no, for sure. Yeah. And I hit up like my homies and I'm just like, yo, send me some of your shit because I always want to put on my friends. But I kind of go down the rabbit hole. I create like a huge playlist.
Yeah.
And then I just kind of like pick from there what I think is going to like line up with my vision for this show. Mm-hmm. And I just start practicing transitions and all that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Is every show like a little bit different for you?
So yes, for sure. But I will say like I do put a lot of work into like curating sets. So a lot of times I will play like same material in different cities. Like I actually used to tear myself apart because I was like, I can't play the same set in this city. Like they're gonna know.
Crazy.
I would drive me crazy. But now I'm like, no, like I worked hard on this material. Like people do want to hear that. Like, and nobody knows my material like I do, like the back of my hand. Like, and it's in different cities too. So it's like, I know a lot of people that DJ on the fly and I respect that. I do that a lot too. But like personally, like I really have a vision that I'm trying to present to people. And so I typically stay true to that.
Yes.
But of course, like if I feel like the crowd isn't feeling something, like I'll switch it up in the moment. But for the most part, yeah.
If you're part of the right lineup, I feel like that very rarely happens. Exactly. You're like, I'm where I need to be. Like I'm on this curated lineup. Right. And especially like with the taste of music that you produce, like as an attendee, you either have to have an open mind or you know what you're walking into.
Exactly.
You know, it's not an open format type of situation at all.
No, exactly. So absolutely. I definitely plan out my sets and practice them.
I feel like everybody does. Like honestly, like when I there's very few individuals that, especially if they're producer first, DJ second,
right,
walk on stage and they're like, oh, this is, we're just going to go for it. Because then it's like, you almost don't get to enjoy yourself to a certain extent on stage. You're like freaking out about what's next. And that energy, especially like so many comments I see about you, like so much feedback. Like I jam your sets all the time in the gym, which I love because like love UK Grind, love the 140, like love that whole situation. But it's like your energy sets the tone for the room. And if you're having to like do this prep work, like while you're in the act, it's very difficult.
I have to be honest, like if you're going to wing it, like, I don't know, sometimes I can notice, I'm just like, it's kind of what's going to set you apart from someone else that maybe didn't like put that time in. Yeah. And that's just how I feel about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like you definitely, at this point, it's just crazy seeing projects like yours, like projects we kind of know from like the Southeast, like really becoming nationally touring acts, which is so exciting because everybody's kind of like, you've put your work in, you've gone through your ups and downs. It's never a gradual climb. Right. And it's just, it's insane.
Yeah, I do really feel like now more than ever, I'm seeing like a lot of like the work like pay off. I've been doing this for 7 years, you know, like, and it is so beautiful. People don't realize ever. Right. No, but yeah, I have gotten some comments though. Like people are like, oh, it's a pre-planned set. Like, oh, she's not even doing anything. I'm like, dude. Like
the second you get hate comments, you go, okay, I'm doing something right.
Yeah, right. Something right. So kind of like with the climb, I've like noticed more hate comments, and I'm just like, But I've gotten to a point like I'm at such peace. Yeah, I am at peace right now. Like I feel so happy with like who I am. I'm like tunnel vision on like my own vision. Like it just does not faze me, and like. I want that for everybody.
Because they want it to phase you. And I think it's really, that's definitely something that I've struggled with. And especially it's like being on camera, whether it's criticism to your music or this or collabing with someone.
We all struggle with it.
It takes such a mental fortitude to get to that place. But then once you reach that place, you're like, I just don't have the time for it. I don't have the energy for it. Like I'm like existing at a bit of a higher wavelength and I think a lot of that just comes with growing up in general and like seeing so much of what's going on in the industry and like learning so much. Like I think about what I knew about 6-7 years ago and you go, holy fuck, I was naive, but like you had this like dreamer's eye and like, you cared about what everybody said and you wanted to make everybody happy. Right. And now it's like, I'm like someone where it's like, I'd rather have a smaller fan base that's super dedicated that really fucks with me than trying to please everybody because it's never going to happen.
You're never going to please everybody. Yeah. So no, I totally agree, babe.
And you really grew in like the Southeast region and now you're working with Mind Warp, right? Yes. And they're out here. So tell me about how you guys kind of came into play. Because I think a lot of people don't realize, how many different teams and artists, may work with, especially being a female, being younger, doing everything on your own. And it's very rare that you start with somebody that you end with. I've seen that in very few situations. For sure. I think the Mind Warp guys are great. They really have a stockpile of talent. And it's dope.
It's outstanding. Cool. Yeah. I've always been wanting to manifest a solid team in my corner. I've been with the same agent since 2017. He's awesome. His name is Sam. Shout out Sam. Right. But so I started working with Blake. He's my current manager about maybe 2.5 years ago. And he was a part of one company. Then he ended up going solo. Okay. And we just kind of been going hard together, learning the ins and outs of the industry. I don't know how he had a connection to Mind Warp. I think it was one of his clients actually. He's booked with Mind Warp. Got it. Kai Chimura.
Okay, love it.
Yeah. And so, it was kind of that was a big goal of his. He really wanted to work with them, and him and I and him and his other clients, we just been going hard. Yeah. And just
every day.
I think they finally were just hey, we noticed the hard work you've been putting in. It's time. Come on over. Let's, and they added a bunch of a whole new wave of artists to their roster with a month ago. And we are so honored to be on the team.
I love that.
Absolutely. And it's I really have been trying to manifest that for a long time, and to finally have it feels so good.
It's important. It's hard because it's you're what I love about like EDM, DJ, producer, whatever, especially coming from like other collaborative art forms, is like it really does sit on your shoulders. It's kind of like you're either going to show up and do the work or you're not going to show up and do the work. But to have somebody on the back end that like reinforces those decisions, has somebody to like, because you think about like a band, you think about like 4, 5, 6 people bouncing creative ideas, coming up with brainstorming, coming up with branding, content, whatever. And it's like, if you don't have anybody like with you, it's hard to be like, yo, is this gonna hit? Is this not gonna hit? Do you like this? Like, can we vision this together and start on like the creative process? So having just like a team of support system, and I think it's just somebody who's super passionate about your project.
Yes, it feels so good to have someone that has your back. Like you can just call them at any time and have that advice. I would say to anybody that doesn't have that right now, like I would just lean on your like producer homies. Also patience, but like, you know, get feedback, bounce off ideas from your friends and all that. But
so many things that exist now too. The Discords, the Reddits.
Right. You know, I haven't gotten into Discord. I really want to.
Discord's something that can take up like 24/7 of your day. Okay, so you definitely have to be
I feel like
you're always behind.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm already so consumed with like trying to keep up with like Twitter, Instagram.
Yeah. How do you do that? I always like asking people. Right. I always feel like I'm either on it or I'm not on it. And then when I'm not on it, I'm like, oh, you need to be on it. And then I'm on it. And I'm just like, is this really like it? Like, no.
Like, no. But like, it is such a great tool at our disposal, a free tool to use. Yes. Like, but yeah, it is really cool. Things like the Patreon and Discord. Like, I really want to get into it, but you know, one thing at a time.
Oh, you know, absolutely.
Right, for sure.
I think being an artist,
are you on TikTok?
I'm on TikTok.
Yeah,
I love TikTok.
Yeah, you do?
No.
Oh yeah, right. No, it's something I was like, I feel like I should use it because it's like, why the?
It's a great tool
for sure.
But it's one of those things where I've spoken with, like, speaking of, we were talking about how you have a show coming with Grizz. There's a girl that goes by the name of Liz Hagerty, and she does all of his events, like TikToks, and like travels with him. Has done like him, Ella Stream, like a lot of those bigger guys. And having her on was like such an enlightening conversation, just in the fact that she's so like, with TikTok, it's one of those things where like a lot of artists kind of like hesitantly place their foot in. They're like, oh, like I'm going to try for a week. I'm going to post once a day. And she's like, they just go through. They don't like get on the train and go like through and out. Cause she's like, the sooner that you like check off all of these boxes and keep that consistency going and building that fan base, she's like, you get to the other side and then you maintain. But she's like, it's so difficult for artists that aren't necessarily built with that like content sense of mind, where it's like me, like I look like a dungeon rat when I'm producing, you know, like it's like messy bun, like I'm out of like, I'm in sweatpants, I'm in a hoodie, like girl, I don't want to put a camera on me.
I'm bumming it. No, for sure. You know, absolutely. I actually did like my first like kind of like video content. I think you saw
it. Was first Cervantes.
Yeah, that was like my first like kind of go at like a promo reel, and it went really well. I'm actually like super into comedy and skits, and like I think that I want to like try that route. Like I love it. I've actually always wanted to like film skits like with my sister. We're super into comedy. You have to do what works
for you. You have to do something that you're passionate about, or you're gonna hate it. You're going to be like, I can't do this. This is making me pull my hair out.
Right.
And so you have to like, if you love that shit, and especially too, it like makes it entertaining. And you're like, I'm having fun. You're having fun. Come have fun at my show.
And I was still nervous. Like I was nervous doing it. You know, we did a few takes and all of that. But like, it was so gratifying. Like once I did it and it went well, I was like, oh, like,
well,
I can do this.
And it's hard because I feel like the moment that likes were invented, it fucked all of our minds up. But you see the difference in engagement, and like especially on a platform like Instagram, where we're only reaching like a percentage of our followers now, which sucks. It's like a very pay to play kind of platform, which I'm not that type of person. I'm like, I just want to grow organically and like I'll play into the algorithm and do that, but I don't feel like throwing money at a reel. Doing shit where you're in your studio and like where you're like hype and like people see that like fourth wall broken down. They love it. They love it.
People love it. They eat it up. No, it is important to kind of break down that wall, like kind of give your fans an inside look on maybe your personal life, just a touch. You know, I think it does help. But I've kind of grown to enjoy it. But I will say it is so time consuming. Like it
multiple
took me
takes, and then you figure out the angles, and you're like,
the editing, the whatever,
Mhm.
you know. So it's super time consuming. So it would be really helpful. I've been thinking about like potentially bringing in like a media manager or just someone to help me with ideas.
Yeah, a ton of artists
because
have
I just
that.
want to focus on the music, girl. Like,
amen.
yeah,
Dude,
you
like,
know, like
that's what
I don't mind doing it,
all day,
right?
And it's hard because you wake up and it's like this thing where music should be first. You know, it should be first,
Right.
and it should be on first on your mind. But then it's like in the back of your head, you're like, oh my God, wait, like I have these emails, and then I have to announce this show, and then I have to like maybe record a story for this show, and then I have a set coming up, so I need to make new edits, and I need to like crate dig, and then now it's 1 a.m. and like I'm not haven't eaten dinner. Yep, I'm not in a creative space to work on this track that I woke up so pumped to work on. You go, okay, I'm gonna go through everything first. It should be reverse, but then people don't like. You're not like
that
staying. It's so cringe for me to say. You're not like relevant. Just working in the studio, like I
get
don't
it.
know.
No,
it's crazy,
babe. I totally get it, and like I've actually like thought to myself recently. I'm like, all right, I need to wake up and work on music, but then like be that like the first thing. But I'm also kind of someone that works better in the evening already.
I am too.
I am someone that also needs to work out in the morning, like do some kind of exercise.
I was about to say it's like the gym unless you go to the gym, and then when you go to the gym, you don't work on music first.
Right. Exactly. But like actually like I need to, because it gets me in the right headspace for creating. Yes. I'm kind of like an anxious person. But I have like my things that ground me. Like I have all my practices that like help me like deal with it in a healthy way. But like exercise is one of those things that's actually changed my life. It's changed my life. Implementing it like every day, like if I can, like just some form.
Yes.
It is literally changed my life.
And I think it's one of those things where I think it's starting to be prioritized more just as like the tides are changing. I never could conceptualize understanding how someone is like on the road in their studio doing all this stuff, and you have no form to get all of this like anxiety out, or like these like jitters out, or like
some people like, lean on unhealthy ways to cope.
or it's like unhealthy ways, and it's like then that comes to a point where the transparent discussion about touring, not sleeping, not having healthy options, you know, like it's unsustainable if you don't have that balance to when you're home having that routine, doing the hikes, doing the yoga, doing your gym sessions, like coming out here, like being in Florida, didn't really enjoy the humidity. So I wasn't like a huge outdoor individual, but I loved weightlifting, loved all that shit. But out here, it's like, we have hikes, we have mountain biking, I love the yoga, and they do yoga outside. And like, then you mix in the gym, and it's like, wow, you're like living an active lifestyle versus it being like a regimented thing, which also is great in itself. But having just something to be out there. And I see that in all of the artists out here, which I fucking love. Like
in Denver, you mean?
Yeah. They all love doing outdoor stuff.
For sure.
Like,
you're right.
Very
actually
healthy, like beings. Like you think of like Cozy or Blank or like last year's guys, like they all are like, like we moved out here to be like part of this like outdoorsy shit and like being healthy. And then when we go on tour, it's like, we know what we're getting ourselves into.
Absolutely. For sure. You need that baseline. You need that just grounding. Yeah.
And it helps with like the progression. Yeah. Because if I sit down in front of my studio or in front of my computer and it's like, I haven't done anything active for the day, I feel like my mind is going a million miles a second. And it's like, well, you might as well just not do this right now.
It's really hard for me to clear my mind sometimes. Yeah. When I sit down to produce and the exercise really helps me get like in my flow state. So definitely yoga.
Yes.
And then weight training. I take like, I have this trainer on YouTube. She's awesome. What I like about her is like she does like 30 to 50 minute workouts. So it's like you're in and out.
Yep.
It's perfect.
Yeah, we don't have time for 2 hours. We just don't.
I've never been a huge gym person actually. It's like the whole driving to the gym and then driving back. I don't know. I guess it's that part.
And then you want to spend more time at the gym than you're actually driving to the gym.
Right. And then I guess I got to think of my own workouts. So I really just like showing up to my home gym. This girl, she lays it out for me. It's like boom, boom, boom. It's incredible. She's also like super into mental health. So at the end of her workout, she'll kind of give you like a spiel, like pump you up. And everything she says, like somehow just always lines up with like what I'm going through, you know?
That's wild.
I know.
That's amazing.
I know. So it's like, not only do I get like this awesome workout in, but then she like pumps me up for my day.
Yeah.
Like with like this like kind of motivational speech at the end.
It's an all-in-one.
Honestly, shout out to her. Sydney Cummings is her name.
I was literally about to say, I'm going to ask you for that
Sydney
link,
Cummings,
because that would be lovely.
She's one of my, honestly, biggest inspirations.
That's
like, she's
amazing.
a badass woman. Like, I got into her during COVID. You know?
Really?
I started doing home
yeah.
workouts, and she's just taken off. I mean, like, I started doing her workouts when she had like, I don't know, like 300,000 followers now, or subscribers. Now she has over like 1 million.
That's wild.
Yeah. So anyway, she's incredible. And so I do that, hot yoga, and then running.
Yes.
I do love running. It's also really good for my mental. If I'm ever like going through it, I'm like, time to go run.
Yep.
music, my run. And then I always feel so much better afterwards.
I think it's just one of those things, like, I couldn't imagine not having exercise in my life. I don't know where my mental capacity would be. When you do run, like, what do you listen to? Do you listen to shit that you make, or do you like listen to like other types of music?
Yeah. So lots of times I do listen to my mixes. Cause I don't know, it's just, it's my shit, you know?
Like,
I do.
It's so crazy because it's such a thing, especially like as you get older and as you kind of like mature, not only as a lover of electronic music, but also a producer,
right?
Your tastes change.
Yeah.
You know, like they may stay in that same subgenre, but they may go a little bit deeper into this hole or a little bit deeper into this hole.
Yeah.
And then it comes to the point of like, oh fuck, well now I want to make this type of music and here we are.
Right.
Da, 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 da. So like everything you've been doing is very quickly coming to fruition, obviously after so many years of hard work. And
for sure,
I think it's kind of like rule of thumb if you get into this, like especially like I do Patreon, I teach students and stuff. It's like
awesome.
If you want to do this.
Yeah.
You got to at least, you know, everyone's journey is different.
For sure.
You know, I think TikTok has opened this window that's allowed people to really climb. You know, it'll be, we're kind of in this hamster wheel right now, whether that's for longevity or for like a quick pop.
That is
you
true.
know, can you actually sell tickets? Can you actually establish yourself in markets? Do people like fuck with you off the platform kind of deal?
Right.
But it's like 5 years minimum. I'm like, if you really want to see like some growth on yourself, like not only mastering your craft, understanding how to produce, understanding all this, and then you have to like establish like what you want to sound like what is your vision going to be, like it's so cool because you're never going to stop learning, which I think is amazing about what we do. Like it's always going to be intellectually challenging, but you can't look at this type of career path and think it's like a one-stop shop, right? Because it's just not.
I used to always actually put like a timeline on my success. Like I remember, I
did too.
Right.
I would look at other women that were doing what I was doing. I would look at their age and I would say, by the time I'm 25, I want to be on this agency. By the time I'm 26, I want to do this. And it doesn't work that way.
Okay, right. It's good to know. It's good to know. I mean, I figured I wasn't the only one that did this, but it is funny because I'd be like Rez age, and I think she's like, I don't know, whatever. At the time I looked her up, she was like 25 and like so successful. I'm like, okay, by 25 I'll be there, and then 25 hits and you're like, oh, there.
Fuck.
right.
But it makes you reflect when you hit those like mile markers and you go, whipped cream was that person for me, and I would like look, and it's like,
love her.
She was doing really heavy bass music. And now her career has just like flourished in so many different ways. And I'm like, it's not about a timeline.
She's such an inspiration.
She's such an inspiration. And it's like putting yourself on a timeline, not only is it just going to stress you the fuck out, but the timeline doesn't ensure happiness and like, and like you being at one. And like, there's so many different factors that happen in life, like financial stress, this, that, family, boyfriend, girlfriend, da-da-da-da. And you have to live life. That's my thing too, is like, I felt like I was a dungeon rat for a while where it was like, all I would do is go out on the weekends, be at shows. And then I was like learning how to produce and I was like making mixes and like had a residency. But then and like I was going to the gym, but like I was really just going to the gym to try and look good for every Friday. And it's like, and it's like, that's not a great way to live life. No. Because life will pass you by and like, things will happen or things may not happen. And I think it was really just like a slap in the face when COVID happened. And you saw these really, really big artists kind of come out being like, holy fuck, like I don't have maybe a significant other. I really am far away from my family. I don't really feel like I have friends because all my friends weren't really my friends. They were just my friends because they wanted guest lists or they wanted to be involved or da-da-da. That's a hard pill to swallow. And I was like, I don't want to fucking live my life like that.
And it's crazy you say it because that was me. Yeah. Like, it was almost impossible for my family to like get me out of my studio. But like, after so long of being a dungeon rat, like I realized like this isn't productive. Like, I'm not being productive, locking myself in my studio for 10 hours a day. Like, it wasn't as productive as if I actually let myself like go connect with people, go do things that inspire me then to create my art, you know? So
you have to experience to go back and create. And if you're not experiencing anything, how can you expect to put anything of yourself into your music?
Exactly. So that was a slap in the face for me too. And I have worked on my lifestyle and myself more than ever those last like 3 years. And like
your career kind of goes to it's wild.
It's exactly. And I'm just like, holy cow, this is so beautiful. Like, it hasn't been easy, but like it's just so beautiful.
And then like out of that, what we were talking before we sat down, Pretty Lights show, Grizz shows, like very big shows. And I know you were telling me Pretty Lights has a very significant kind of representation.
Honestly, so I guess my biggest shows coming up is opening for Pretty Lights at the Caverns, opening for Close the Eastern, and then doing that Ursa Major Grizz event. And like all three of these artists have had such an impact on my life, their music. You know, I used to go to all of their events when I was just starting out, and like, it's just come full circle now, and I'm still in shock about it, you know? But I do feel like, you know what? I'm like, I do deserve this. Like, you know?
Absolutely. It's that imposter syndrome. Right. And especially I think I've definitely been able to like compress my syndrome a little bit as you go on, because you're like, I've put in the work. I've done this. Right. Like, if anybody has shit to say, like, all the people who have been with me since day one will literally back me up for me.
Exactly. And that's about where I'm at right now, you know?
Yes.
Definitely.
And I don't, unfortunately, I think in this day and age where, like, you have the keyboard warriors and, like, TikTok and all this stuff, you know, it's not necessarily going to get better on the comment front.
Oh, no.
You know?
Oh, it's going to get much worse.
It's going to get much worse.
The more successful you get, like, you know, it'll get much worse.
How it happens.
For sure. But that's why it is so important to be at peace with yourself and do that self-work that you might be putting off, like, because that's how you're going to lead a healthy life as an artist. And
and creating like a community, which again, like Pretty Lights, Grizz, Closey, I think like the foothold of every really A-tier act, because, you know, we've been in this long enough to see acts come and acts go, and like
no doubt,
maybe they got picked up a little too early, and then it really stunted their growth, or they didn't have the right team behind them. But the ones who've always stayed, like, you know, even though Pretty Lights did come back, you know, think about his career beforehand, which was just astronomical. Absolutely. They all have this community that is like at the forefront. And I don't know who told me, but when I first started doing this, they were like, you can't choose your fans. You can just try and create the community in which your fans are going to exist. And I feel like you do use your like social media platform to be very like energy focused, positivity focused. Like you do communicate in that way. And it seems like your fans really resonate with that. And like, you know, show up at shows with like that type of attitude, which you can't ask for more of, because with electronic dance music just being, oh my God, like when we were 17, 18, you know, 15, 16, it was still bands. You know, it was the Vans Warped Tour, it was Rockville, it was 97X, and you had EDM, but it was more of like an adult thing and whatever. Now it's everybody from accessible. 13 to 35, and you've got, it's taken over everything. Yeah. And with that comes a large demographic of individuals that can really throw off the vibe.
Yeah.
if you don't really try and, you know, and you know, it's
attract the right people, you mean?
Right. Yeah. And it's not always in your control. But I do feel like in your subgenre, people do want to be there. And it's this very like creative community family vibe.
Yeah. I mean, you know, this is such a stupid little phrase, but I do think your vibe attracts your tribe. Like, period. Like, you are going to attract what you put out. So you should definitely intentionally try to put out the energy that you want to get reciprocated back to you.
Yep.
I love my fan base. Like, I think they're all fucking awesome people. Yeah. But I definitely, even with the creation of my project, I did kind of have a conscious approach to music. I definitely I want to make the world a better place. Like, I think what you do with your platform, with your podcast, that's a great, you help me like a lot. Like,
I appreciate
the conversations that you have with artists have given me awesome insight. And
that's why I do it.
I want to give back to our community as well. And I know I am, just through my music, my performances, and like speaking with people. But like, I also that's just a goal of mine, is to have some sort of platform. And I'm not sure what that looks like yet. Not sure if it looks like discussions at festivals, where it's like, I'm a workshop and we talk about whatever, leading a healthy life as an artist. But I want that. But
I feel like you do it every day and showing up, because the way that you show up, not necessarily in person with your fans, because you can't really do that all the time, but the way that you show up for them on a broader platform, like an Instagram or like a TikTok,
absolutely,
you're setting an example. And I don't think artists realize, I think they do now more than ever, we're moving in the right direction.
For sure.
But artists don't realize the power that they have. Like, I get it.
Right.
Like, artists don't have to step in politics and all that fucking fuzzy shit.
For sure.
Whatever, throw it out the window. Like, every time, I've always said, the way that you hold yourself behind stage in a green room with industry professionals, to meeting people after shows and staying the extra 30 to 50 minutes to meet everybody and sign their shit, to the way that you treat your openers, to the way that you, maybe talk about something online. You are low key, you're not the president, but you are under a microscope for what you do. And
absolutely,
you either choose to show up and, be who you want to be. I mean, I'm all for people, especially in this, I do this because I don't have somebody over there where it's somebody saying, oh, well, you can't say that, or you can't do this. These are very transparent conversations, but it's kind of, it really dictates your character on how you handle everyday things. And people see that, and you set an example for your rave community that
for sure
follows you religiously. I've always said, especially in bass music, they will spend their last dollar on you. They will spend, their last cent buying a t-shirt, buying merch.
I know it because I've done the same.
Yeah, exactly. We've all been in that position. And it's sometimes it's easy to get your head lost in the clouds, but I am thankful because I feel like a lot of people in bass orientated music are just really wholesome individuals.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, no, I agree that you don't really know the impact that you're having on your fans. But I think about the impact that my favorite artists have had on me, and I'm like, oh, I am doing that
for someone else.
Yeah. And so it is just so important to keep that in mind, in the way you present yourself. Absolutely.
Every day.
Because you don't know who you're inspiring. And that's a beautiful thing.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
And that's why it's I was talking to Ravenscoon, and he has a very big social anxiety where he gets, very when I show up, I want to be there 110%. But that's how you have to be. And it's and if you can't give that, don't show up.
I see. To your show,
to meet and greet, to walking around a festival or something, where he gets these crazy crowds, which is just wild to me, especially at a Soul Fest or a Wakan Fest or something like that, because he's so transparent online. But then it's when you're with your fans, you don't want to seem like you don't appreciate them all the time, but you may not have the energy all the time to give that, because you're giving so much of yourself. Girl, and it's it's why I love yoga. It's about finding that balance and practicing that every day. It's
that's something
the diet and the this and the that and the work, having great productive days where you smash it all out, but then go and have fun at a show. Don't live your life one way up, one way down.
Totally.
And that's, I think, the best approach to having no regrets.
Right.
We try every day. So what are you excited for coming up besides the shows? We have those 3 big shows. Do you have any other shows you want to tell the listeners about? Any new music mixes on the way?
I mean, there's definitely lots of exciting shows, But I guess like I'm most excited about locking in on some new music. So
you just kind of had a single come out like a month-ish, month, two
I was
ago.
like super proud of that one because
I love the vocal sample. I was listening
you.
Every time I sit down with someone, I try and listen to their like latest music. I feel like it's very you know, like it embodies like you can hear it go exactly in one of your sets. You know, I can like see the vision.
With it at Cervantes, and I did this super cool mashup with it, and it feels really good because, you know, I mean, I'm still working a lot on my original music, and like, I'm super proud of that one because it really just like it flowed so naturally. Like, I know you know that feeling, you know,
when that's it, you're like
some tracks like it's like you're like months like, but like this one was just like. It just
48 hours, 72 hours.
Right.
You're like, this shit is done.
Yeah.
When you just sit in the DAW, you sit down, and it's not even like, oh, I'm gonna write a track today. Like it's like, okay, we're just gonna like open a new project, start from scratch. Like let's try and get a workflow going, and then it just comes out.
Yeah, I remember I was feeling inspired because I was like rewatching Game of Thrones. I love orchestral instruments. So I was just like, do you like Game of Thrones?
I love it.
Yeah. Okay. The soundtrack.
Boyfriend took me all the way from day one to current. Yeah. Big Game of Thrones. Big Witcher fan.
Same.
Like I like all of that.
Oh God, that's my like favorite shit.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was feeling super inspired by that soundtrack and like just kind of sat down and like wrote out like the orchestral melody like in the background and. I don't even know where I was going with this, but I
love it.
It just flew. It just like flowed out of me. Oh, I was gonna say that it's taken me a while to get to that point, though. Like I said, I've been working on myself a lot. Like these last few years, like I released my debut EP in January, and that was like a huge breakthrough moment for me because I'm not gonna lie, like ever since I've started making music, I've been in my head a lot, like. You get started and
especially when you have this momentum going too. And I think as you continue to grow and like you're someone, God, you're going to miss your flight. I'm saying one more thing.
Oh shit, what time is it?
It's 3:45, but we'll go soon.
No, I'm not going to miss it. I'm going to miss it.
Yeah. You know, it's really like you're a perfect example of someone who's really honed the craft of DJing. And it's a very difficult craft. And I always, every time I sit down, I say, these are two different techniques that we are talking about.
I feel like some people think it's like easy. I'm like,
it is not easy. No. And any major producer will go, I spend weeks on sets for things like EDC Las Vegas, for EDC Orlando, Halloween, It's not fucking easy at all, especially taking your own music and going, okay, how do I wrap this around other people's music and how do I make these live edits? And especially like when they have live elements like singing and stuff, like you want to be singing and then you don't have to rush back and press play on something else. It's this whole show and it's not a band where you get 25 minutes, 4 or 5 songs, 90 minutes, 60 minutes. So you've honed that, but because your ability is so like advanced in my opinion, I think it's opened these opportunities for you where it hasn't necessarily been that music front forward. And then like in your mind, because this happened for me with Ritz, same thing. In your mind, it goes, well, they're expecting like an excision track out of me. Like they're expecting something that sounds like Grizz. Like but like unique and me and this stuff. And that's just not going to happen when you're making your own music. It's not going to fucking happen.
Absolutely. Like, oh no, I hear what you're saying. Like I'm so at peace, like I was saying before. And I'm just like, I'm just at a point, I just want to create what's me. And like, I know that's what people want to hear. They don't want to hear some regurgitated ideas of like another artist. Like, no, like they want what's you and what's raw. And I've really accepted that and just like gotten such a good headspace for creating lately. And it just makes me so happy because I used to doubt myself and kind of focus a lot on the external instead of just like what's gonna make me happy, like what's the sounds that make me happy, and I'm there right now, baby.
I love it. And that's what again like the vibe attracts your tribe. Like people will like people that want to fuck with you are gonna like the music that you put out.
I want people to like me for me, not like
that's the only way to do it.
Exactly.
This was wonderful. We'll have to do another one in the future because we could talk for like 5 hours.
I know.
I so appreciate you. Zen Selekta, Nicole. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks, Lizzy. Thanks for having me.
Bye, guys. See you.